Okay.
Call this meeting to order.
All right, I'm going to take roll call. Mr. Treps,
Here.
Ms. Ross,
Here.
Ms. Neff,
Here.
Ms. Sundar,
Yes.
Mr. Pax.
Yes.
We have a quorum tonight. I do want to bring to your attention, before I forget, just a little housekeeping note that as I'm trying to do myself and lead by example, that we speak intentionally in the microphones at all times, and that will considerably help if we're looking back at the recording. So that's appreciated if you can keep that in your mind. All right. Now you can proceed swearing in.
Okay. Anyone who intends to testify, please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, state I do. When you come up and to offer testimony, please state your full name, your address, and affirm that you've been sworn in. Thank you.
All right, I will take it away. We have 3 pieces of new business tonight, and the first one is a residential zoning area variance request. This is for 4914 Tralee Lane in Lewis Center. The request is seeking an area variance from rezoning case 12-0223 Sanctuary at the Lakes to allow for a detached garage to encroach into the 35-foot rear setback. So the applicant has provided for us some new plans, and I do want to make note that these plans are slightly different than what you have in your packet, so I'm going to make sure you have a copy.
And we will have the updated plans on the stream and on the screens.
Thank you.
Did put them in the digital file.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Much better.
Thank you. All right, so essentially the changes for the location have consisted of moving the entire structure about 10 feet or so further away from the rear yard setback. So I'm going to go through and just try to substitute the numbers as I go through the staff report. Let's see. The applicant is requesting an area variance from rezoning case 12-0223 Sanctuary at the Lakes to allow for a detached garage to encroach 15, let's see, that would be 15 feet, 7 inches, 15 feet, 7 inches into the 35-foot rear yard setback in an area zoned single-family plan residential district. So the proposed garage would be in addition to an existing home, patio, and driveway. And as you can see on the new site plan, the only other change compared to the original submission is that there is an attached covered walkway which will connect the new structure to the house. All right, next page. So for your context, we'll look at the zoomed in and zoomed out aerial views from the auditor's site. As you can see, there's HOA reserve space, which is predominantly treed area behind this yard and also behind the yards adjacent to it. And you can get a better sense of that, especially in the zoomed out view there. Next page. So for the staff review portion, we'll double or triple check my numbers, but as you can see with the new site plan, the garage is not encroaching quite as significantly. So when I looked at the plan here, that might be 14 feet 7 inches, but we'll double check my math. So it would have a 20-foot, 3-inch setback, and the 35 feet is the requirement. So you can see here with the dotted line on the site plan, that's representative of where the garage needs to be. And then you can see that encroachment distance. So when I did the quick math, and we can double check this as well, I got a 42% variance request. So you can see that's a lot different than the original submission number. Next page.
That's my math as well.
Say
My
that.
calculation as well.
Thank you. No, that's very helpful for me doing things kind of in the heat of the moment. So you may skip ahead. Thank you, Andrew.
And I have all the other materials pulled up if you want to refer to them too. The photos
Okay.
included.
Yeah, you can see this in the hard copy packet I just handed out. We got a few photos that may be a good aid for you all. I want to direct you either to your packet or the screen. It's the same set of photos. The applicant took these pictures and also tried to show on through with the line the setbacks, where the end of the structure would be, the rear portion of the structure as compared to their property line, by placing those lines on the property. And the applicant can clarify in a little more detail what you're looking at. But as I understood it, the closer line here denotes the property boundary, and then the line further in the distance denotes the rear edge of the garage, the proposed garage. So from this view, the left line, as you're looking at it, is the property line, and then the right line would be representing the rear edge of the new structure. And then just kind of the opposite, this is from the other angle.
Since that looks like it's angled, is the measurement from the short side or the long side of egress into the 35-foot setback?
The structure, the applicant can come up and clarify in a moment,
Okay.
but I'm seeing this as relatively plain with the rear property line.
Okay.
Yep. But they can provide more clarification momentarily. I think that generally speaking, that sums up the staff report, especially with the last moment changes. So you can defer to the applicant's portion of the presentation or ask me any questions.
You didn't receive any comments from neighbors or anything? I didn't see anything in here.
No, one neighbor was considering providing comment, and then I didn't get anything firm from them. It was the adjacent neighbor. They didn't have an opinion to weigh in on, so we did not provide that.
Okay.
Is the applicant?
We have Mr. Griffin here.
Good evening, Brian Griffin, 4914 Tralee Lane, Westerville, Ohio. I confirm that I've been sworn in. To answer your initial question, it should be relatively parallel to the back property line. And then to answer the second question, that was the neighbor that this is closest to on the right-hand side there. That is the Chris family. I spoke to him yesterday. We've both been out of town, in and out. So he was just interested in kind of what we were doing there. And then also the previous plans that we had would have obstructed a view of his into into an open space. So this no longer does, because there's actually trees that are already there. So he was just interested. He wasn't going to, provide any negative feedback anyway, but he was interested, to say the least. And then, we talked about it yesterday and confirmed that, we're good to go.
The only comment that I'd have is I appreciate the fact that you pulled it up. I mean, that was quite an extension, so that's a good move, I think, in respect for the neighbors, but also the fact that you have those 3 trees that are there that relatively line up with the extension at that point, which is nice. and helpful for the adjacent property owner.
It's part of the reason that we moved it up, also is in alignment with what the HOA was asking. They diverged from, I guess, some existing precedents which allowed detached garages, which so we were originally having it detached, and now they've made a new mandate that everything has to be attached. So that's part of the reason we also moved it up, which is why we have the attachment there. But it lines up as far as building materials. It's the exact same building materials as the house. So all hardy plank, stone stack on the back. So it should be the exact same building materials, which is required for our area.
There's, the garage that you have now isn't currently in that spot, right? It's-
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, the garage actually, it's, I don't know how to, if you look
Right
right,
in the front?
that it's a side loading garage.
Yeah.
So we turn into there, and then the patio that you see is actually it's a patio / basketball court. So this garage, we will effectively just pull straight into it, and will be used for golf simulator and or multi-use sports space for my 3 boys.
Very interesting one.
Thank you. I hope it works out as well as we're hoping.
Does someone want to make a motion? Yeah, thank you. Public comment from anyone? Going once, twice? All right.
And before anyone makes a motion, I do want to confirm that the math would be 14 feet, 7 inches. It's not labeled correctly because that's based on the old. So 14 feet and 7 inches encroachment.
Okay,
Yeah.
There you go.
got it.
Yep.
Okay. So into 35, is it right?
Correct.
Which is 35-foot setback.
Still a
Yeah.
35-foot setback.
Would it, I just want to make sure we have the number correct before we go ahead with it. Would it not be 14 foot 9 inches?
Oh, 9?
Does that check out with you?
I think so.
3.
Yeah.
9 inches.
Okay, so the encroachment
you.
would be 14 foot 9 inches.
Yep.
Do we agree on that?
Yes, confirm.
Thank you.
So it's, instead of 27, it's going to be 14 and 9 inches.
14 feet,
Into
9.
the 35 foot.
That's
right?
correct.
Just making sure. Based on these factors, I move to approve case number VA-24-09 for property located at 4914 Trelly Lane, Lewis Center, Ohio 43035, seeking area variance from /12-0223 Sanctuary at the Lakes to allow for a detached garage to encroach 14 foot.
Hold, please. It's now an attached garage?
Correct.
Oh, okay,
And it's 43082.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
Couple changes.
Yeah.
okay. So you want me to read?
Oh, the zip is
43082.
So it's
8-2.
Westerville.
It's Westerville.
Okay.
So it's not
Probably
Lewis Center.
restate.
No.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
start that one
Probably
again.
my bad.
Okay, I'll redo.
We got it.
Based on these factors, I move to approve case number VA-24-09 for property located at 4914 Trelly Lane, Westerville 43082.
Yes.
Seeking an area variance from /12-0223 Sanctuary at the Lakes to allow for an attached garage to encroach 14 foot 9 inches and into the 35 foot rear yard setback in an area zone single family residential district.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Sundar, seconded by Mr. Pax. Those voting, Mr. Travis,
Yes.
Mr. Pax,
Yes.
Ms. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Knapp,
Yeah.
and Ms. Sundar.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes and variance is approved.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with the project.
All right, well, we'll move right along. I think that's the most math we'll have all evening. The next application is over at Little Bear Country Club. This is owned by the Little Bear HOA, and I want to, if you haven't heard already, I want to bring to the board's attention that our chair is going to recuse himself, so he is going to leave the meeting space for the moment, and then in the interim, Ms. Sue Ross, our vice chair, will step in and kind of take over for the moment. So, all right, let me go right into our staff report. So the site, as I mentioned, is owned by Little Bear HOA. The address is 1940 Little Bear Loop. This is out in front of the main country club building and event space. This request entails conditional use from the Orange Township zoning resolution to allow for the installation of a monument sign, and it's also seeking area variance for the maximum area per side or surface of the monument sign to exceed the allowable 16 square feet. The subject property, located in Little Bear Golf Club, is just west of South Old State Road. The applicant is seeking conditional use from Section 22.04A of the Orange Township zoning resolution to allow for the installation of a monument sign. There is an existing monument sign on a different parcel. The applicant is proposing to remove, or it may already be removed, if I remember correctly, the existing monument sign and install a new one in front of the golf club. They are also seeking one area variance from Section 22.04, A3D, to increase the allowable area of one sign face from 16 to 30 square feet. Just to touch on the surrounding area, to the north is single-family planned residential district, and the land use is single-family residence. To the south is single-family planned residential district, also land use of single-family residences. The east, the zoning is single-family planned residential district, and it's also single-family residences, HOA open space, and Little Bear Loop. And finally, to the west is single-family residences, or single-family planned residential district, with land use of single-family residences and Little Bear Golf Course. This, you can see through the zoomed in, zoomed out views, what I just mentioned, and the location that the monument sign will be is kind of at the tip. If you look at this as an arrowhead, kind of at the arrowhead or the U shape of Little Bear Loop. So we'll get into the site plan here. I believe you'll see that in a little bit more close-up view. I'm not sure, Andrew, if there is quite a bit of text here.
I would probably just
Can highlight
the variance that they're requesting, and then that they meet pretty much all the other standards.
Sure. All right. I'll get right to it. I like that. So looking at the maximum height of the sign, that is the number one thing we double checked, and this will be a 6-foot 6-inch sign above grade, which meets the 8-foot requirement. What does not meet the requirement is the setback from the right-of-way if we're basing it off of the area that they're proposing. So the sign will be set back 15 feet 0 inches from the property line, and the minimum setback, I should say, it does meet the minimum area or the minimum setback distance, but we'll get into how it does not meet the requirement for a maximum area per side because it is 30 square feet. So this sign does meet the next requirement. It is one-sided sign, a maximum of 2. So here it is. The display area of any one side does not exceed 1/2 of the total display area permitted, and the sign is 30 square feet in size when only a 16 square foot sign per face is permitted, and that is the area variance. So meets the minimum requirement for 15 feet, but it's too large. This is just, again, the same kind of explanation. The proposed one-sided sign will be 30 square feet, and the sign will be a 15-foot 0 inches setback from the right-of-way of Little Bear Loop. And then, so I think this is slightly different. The 32 square feet sign is permitted under this standard. But that would be for a two-sided sign. So we're only talking about a single-sided sign that's 30 square feet, which exceeds the 16 square feet requirement. All right, I think that covers our variance, and we went through this being a conditional use for a new, brand new monument sign. All right, and this might be more explanatory. You can see the section view of the sign at 6.5 feet. It is, let's see, approximately just under 12 feet. I believe that 12 feet is the base, the width of the sign. And then there are several emblems here, but the entirety of the display area is calculated by boxing in all of those emblems. So Little Bear Golf Club, the Wineback Golf and Open section, and then the event center. The applicant can also clarify a bit more about the rationale for how they're designing the sign, but I understand there are two entrances. One is for the golf club side, the other is for the event center. Yeah, I'll point out real quick on this second plan view is the sign that has been removed. To my understanding, it is already removed from the southwest corner of South Old State and Bear Trail Drive. And then, as I said, looking at the aerial views, the new sign location, 15 feet set in from Little Bear Loop, supposed to be lined up as you enter towards the golf club. So this sign will be in alignment with Bear Trail Drive. Hopefully you can see that it's kind of small.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I'm a bit confused. I thought is that proposed new sign to the north of the entry drive to the complex?
No, the sign that you
white-
see up in the light color is already an existing, it's already been approved. It's not the sign that we're talking about. The new sign location
Off of
is
South Old State, I'm sorry. That one off of South Old State,
on the
right
south side.
there. Yeah, that one
That's-
is existing?
Correct. And that is, it's been approved, but it's been longer than a few months. I forget, approximately last year. Do you remember, Andrew, the
I
timing?
don't remember being approved in my time, so maybe about a
Be approved. Oh, what?
well, so I mean, ultimately
Maybe it was
though, it is a different parcel, so it does need a new conditional use approval. So that's kind of the reason we're here, as well as the variance.
This is on the other side of Little Bear Loop.
And this is what was provided by the applicant, so the applicant may be able to clarify as well.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, it's for the homes rather
Not
than for the
yes,
business.
that- I remember it as well.
Yep. Okay. All right, I think we're at the last page before the criteria. All right. Just to clarify, the percentages we're talking about for this area variance, the proposed sign would have a setback of 15 feet from Little Bear Loop, and that only allows 16 square feet per side. Singular sign face is proposed with an area of 30 square feet, and this represents roughly an 88% variance request. All right, and then the board analysis criteria for conditional use is on the next page, as well as the proposed resolutions. I'll hand it over to Ms. Ross.
I'd like to jump in real quick.
Yes.
I believe I calculated the variance request wrong. I believe it is a 47% variance.
That makes more sense, yeah.
Not 88.
Makes
That was,
yeah, 6.
Okay. Is the applicant here to speak this evening? Would you like to step forward?
Brad Wentz. I live at 6490 Pleasanton Drive in Worthington, and I was sworn in.
Thank you.
And I'm the owner of the Little Bear Golf Course.
I'm Mockler Signmaster, 758 Radio Drive, Lewis Center, Ohio. We filed the application for the sign.
Sir, were you sworn in as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I was. So the main reason for the sign and where they want the location is that even if you're put into Google that you're going to the Windback or to the Little Bear Golf Course, it's just going to drop you there. There's no directional way into the neighborhood, and it's mainly for directional safety. There's people who will run the stop sign, they're flying through the neighborhood, they're cutting across the parking lot fast. So it creates a lot of safety issues. That is probably one of the main reasons they want a sign up front, plus people blow through that stop sign. That's going to be something that's going to give them something visually to see. That's why we wanted it close at the 15 foot, so that if it's scooped back, it's not going to get the impact of what they're trying to do. And one, people seeing where to go, and two, that that's going to give them something that's going to pop up in front of them that they're going to stop, hopefully. So they've had significant issues with directions there, with people trying to get to the events on time, trying to get to the golf course, they meet their tee times, and they will drive around the neighborhood as well and try and get back to the other side. So it's really to minimize traffic as well through the neighborhood. So that is probably beyond, and the sign itself it's a foam-based sign. It's got 3 posts that are sunk into the ground. We drop it on top. You approved a similar sign for Triple T down the street, over off of Louis Center Road. We fabricated that sign as well. About the main pieces I have, unless you have something you'd like to add to that.
I mean, I bought the property 4 years ago, and obviously revitalized it. It was closed for about 3 years. We've started to have some events, a number of events, a lot of weddings. And the problem we're having, as mentioned, people at that sign go the wrong way, or they don't know which way to go. So if they go to the left towards the golf, then they're in the wrong parking lot to get to an event. If they finally go to the right way to the event, that's great. But if you're in the wrong parking lot, there's 3 parking lots there. To get to the wedding pavilion, you actually have to go through grass, you have to go through mulch, you have to go down a hill. And that's been difficult with people in their wedding shoes. If you park in the appropriate parking lot, there's a sidewalk takes you right to it. So we've just had a problem with golfers going in the wrong parking lot, events going in the wrong parking lot. So we kind of thought if we had a sign right at that stop sign so they know which way to go, it can solve a lot of our problems. So that's the main reason for the sign.
Material on the sign? Is that acrylic? What type of material is it?
It's foam. It's made out of stucco white.
Okay.
And it's a one piece. And the back end, that's painted on there. So it's actually dimensional.
Okay.
It comes out, it's routed out. So yes, all that's dimensional. It's very similar. It's literally exactly like the Triple T sign. So that's what I was trying to give you an example of past that.
So the open and closed denotation on your golf, is that just a placard that's put on there and stuff?
Yeah, it's
What's that?
Just to show the closed piece.
It's just it's in the same location.
There it is.
There you go. Yeah.
When we have weddings, we actually close the golf course.
Okay.
And there's people obviously that don't know that we're having a wedding. And so they drive up and they park and they're banging on the door and they're trying to get into the clubhouse and they want to golf. And we've got a wedding outside or we've got a wedding going. So we're kind of like, how do we try and slow down the golfers that come on a Saturday that want to golf because we're having a wedding? And we, like I said, we close the golf course down for the wedding. So we thought if we had an open closed where somebody can see that the golf course is closed, will that help them not really come into the golf during the wedding?
And that's where they're just sticking the north sign out, letting people know. It's professional.
Yeah, most golfers understand what it means when they see open and close. The illumination, are you putting any lights down the ground that's illuminating?
I mean,
We don't really have much golf going on during winter. When it's getting dark at 6 o'clock, and then we don't really have golfers coming late. So the events usually are starting when it's daylight.
Don't have evening events.
What's that?
You don't have evening events.
We do, but usually they'll start in the daytime, and then in the winter, we don't have, the one reason, we don't have electric out there. So, I mean, at some point in time, if the sign gets up there and we need to do lighting, I might do like I did on a putting course instead of solar light or something, but we really didn't lit up, or at this point, it's not designed to be lit up, so.
Okay.
but if there was any lighting, it would be directional on it. So, and it would not, the lighting wouldn't go past the sign, it would be within the requirements. And if it's solar lights, you're not going to get a ton of illumination out of it.
Do you consider making the sign smaller to be within the requirements? I see there's a significant amount of space in between the logos and the open, closed.
I just kind of relied on the sign company because this is what they do. The thing that I don't want to have happen is people are there and they still can't see the sign. It's just not big enough to see what you're doing and where you're going. We actually did make a small sign to kind of like a yard sign, and you can't
Didn't help.
even read it from that. So they felt, based on looking at the building and the property and the size and how far you'll be away, that this is the appropriate size to be able to see which way you're going and what you're doing.
Well, we're also trying to look at the aesthetics. We didn't want to cram everything into a small area and to shrink the sign down, because then it just has a big crowd. And it doesn't look, I mean, well, there's a nice thing. And we want to make sure it has an aesthetically appropriate sign for that area.
I get that fact about the address, like, it has to be, this will definitely help, there's no doubt about it. But the size is so big, especially the stop sign, like as soon as you enter, the sign is like right in front of them. So I think it will be a distraction.
Actually, if we pull the, can we pull up the map?
Yes. If this will help. This helps.
So the stop sign is pretty much, you see where at the end of the island there, and you can kind of see where the marker is and the crosswalk there. So you got a pretty good amount of distance from the stop sign away from there. So if you make the sign smaller or set it back further, you're going to lose a lot of visual. We spent some time out there looking at that from the car and also the distance from there. So you're already 15 feet back in from the property line, and I can't remember exactly what you measured, but it's definitely, you got about 60 plus feet to 75 feet from there. So you're about 90 to 100 feet back. So you need a decent sized sign in order to see it from that stop sign.
Is the entrance to the building up there?
How wide is it? Like the park, how to get into the parking lot?
Like this one, the main entrance into the building? The front building from the parking lot? Yeah. Right here. Rough idea?
That's, you said
Maybe a little wider. I mean, parking spaces are 9 feet wide. I'm just doing it from that closest area. So, I mean, 25 feet.
I just measured it, this distance right here. I'm not sure if that's what you were intending, but that is 33 feet.
Sure, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Have any other questions up here? Okay, gentlemen, thank you. Is there anyone from the audience who'd like to speak? If so, please come to the podium.
Hi, good evening. My name is Al Nuzzi. I live at 1057 Little Bear Drive, so I'm a resident in the community. And
Have
the
you
one-
been sworn, sir?
And I'm sorry?
Were you sworn, sir?
Yes, I was.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. The one thing is, people are coming down Old State pretty quickly, and they turn in, and there's a stop sign right there. So the traffic is continuing to come in. But what happens is people will stop at the stop sign, they pull out like they're going to pull out, they get in the middle of the intersection, and they don't know where they're going. They put the brakes on, the people behind them think they've already pulled out, and it's like they're right up on top of the other one, and it's a safety problem. So I think having some signage would really be a wonderful thing. It's just, everybody does the same thing. They don't know exactly where they're going, so they go through the stop sign, and then before they make the left or the right, they hit the brakes. The problem is, all these people are still coming in from Old State, and sometimes it's just one right after the other, and they pull out, and then somebody stops dead in the intersection because they don't know where they're going. So for safety-wise, I think the sign would be a wonderful thing. That's really my input.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Any questions from the board?
So just so we're clear, we have the variance request and the conditional use request.
They're two separate motions.
And then we do have a couple updated numbers. Well, I guess it's just one figure for, it's not in the motion, but I just wanted to double check that percentage was like 46 or 47.
I want to jump back. I did it again.
Yeah.
I think the original number is correct, 88%. I'll just say how I calculate it. So how I calculate it is the amount that the proposal exceeds the standard. So the standard in this case is 16 square feet per side, and the proposal is 30 square feet. So that exceeds 16 by 14 square feet. So 14 square feet divided by 16 square feet is an 88% variance. So the number on the report is correct. My apologies.
I do have a few comments. In looking at the sign, I believe it is sized appropriately when you consider the amount of information it needs to put forward. I appreciate that the words, that there's a sizable arrow going in the directions, and that the golf and events appear to be about 6 inches tall, which actually would give a good visual. In our analysis that we do, one thing that we count on a lot is whether the amount of a variance request is significant. And we consider everything over, I think it's 25% significant. So at 88%, this is probably the top of what we see. But with that said, I believe that it is in a proper nature to what it represents. It is placed appropriately so that people that come in see it right in front of them. I do believe that it would provide a safe manner for traffic to go, and would probably cause help prevent problems with traffic cutting back and forth across the parking lot to get to where they need to go. So I'm ready for a motion.
Can I ask you a question? Where are you seeing how tall the word golf is?
If you look here,
Are you just comparing?
on the base
Yes.
is 6 inches, and if you look at it,
Okay.
that is about this, visually, it's about the same if this
Well,
rendering is appropriate.
I guess I'm just confused because to me, it looks like it's the same height as open, and it says open's 2.5 inches high.
I was going by.
No, I see.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing.
We're looking at different pictures, so yes, if this is correct, then
I'm
that.
just like, that
then-
doesn't seem
Then I would
It seems
say
way
that.
too small. But
that-
we are not.
No, we can't design it for
We
you,
don't
but,
design signs.
but if it is 2.5 inches tall, then I would retract that part of my statement.
I'd also say, though, that the fact that the logos are there clearly and then the arrows, I think intuitively for most people, and it's also a fact that they're going to be able to understand the signage in the direction and what it's doing. So I don't know necessarily if we would have to increase the size and diameter of those arrows would make much difference. I think it will read and be interpreted by drivers across from that distance sufficiently for safety, to your point. And I also think that the fact that it's white, headlights are going to be in it in the evening. So it's going to help that if there is an evening event, they'll be able to see it clearly. I think that's the one thing that I'm encouraged, the fact that it's into that drive, people coming in and that to who testified earlier about the safety factor of the drivers, they're going to see it with their headlights even. That will be a help, primarily going to the Weinbeck to the event center. So I find that as another benefit of the sign being white, I believe, as it's proposed. So that's going to read well. And frankly, for me, I'm glad that it's not a backlit illuminated sign. That's a lot of issue and problem that we have with light pollution and everything else. It's subtle, but it'll be effective, I think, in that regard.
Any other comments from the board?
Well, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm just really confused. Are we allowed to ask the applicant a question again? Or-
If you'd please come to the mic.
So, I mean, it's showing that the open sign is 8.5 inches, but it's saying this base is 12 feet. I mean, if you,
Feet is to the foundation. That's deceptive. Do you notice that in the drawing? It's not
Okay,
the actual
okay.
dimension of the sign. And that was tricky. And I was trying to interpret that by scaling it, but that is actually the footer.
okay.
Yeah, the color's quality.
Yeah.
How big is the sign, the base of the sign?
I believe it's 11. I won't go back and check.
Looks a little.
So then it steps in from the base to the sign itself being smaller.
Even the base, that faux concrete or base or whatever that, if that's is same material as the main sign, the faux kind of,
Makes sense.
okay.
Yep.
6 inches.
Yeah, I really kind of wanted a more of a smaller, I mean, the building is beautiful. I didn't want to just have some big monster sign blocking the view, but I'm also, it needs to be large enough that it does its job that we're trying to do. And that's what they've designed is, this is the size that it needs. And so I was like, well, you have to do it so it's the size that it needs to direct the traffic. And if it's too small and it doesn't do its job, then I don't really need a sign there. So I don't want a big sign because I just want some big sign. It's not really a marketing and advertising because it's not on Old State anymore where you're trying to market and advertise. It's just more of a safety directional, here are the two spaces. And it needs to be of size so people can see it and go the proper direction.
It's 6.5 feet high. It's not, we just did an 8 foot high sign and the same type of material. You can tell the difference between that 1.5 feet, but they are also up on an elevation. It's not going to block the building.
No, frankly, it was just getting a gauge and understanding of the width of the sign itself. the actual signage. I mean, I see it's 30 square feet, but I'm also, to our point and our real concern, even some of the members have voiced, you know, the proportion from the signage to the top of the sign, all of that area within that red rectangle. It's really just understanding it, what that dimension is. That's all. So it's not, you know, it's not 12 feet, and it's just kind of, that's all. That's
It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I get that we totally need a sign here. It just doesn't make sense to me why the sign is so big, 88% variance, and then this is 8.5 inches across. This is your open close sign. That's tiny. Like, I'm not gonna see that. So I'm just confused about why it needs to be so big. I get what you're saying about needing to see it, but then like the details don't make sense because the details are small.
I think the bottom, it's
Okay, okay.
because we did it several
That they're bigger. Okay, that makes sense. Because I totally agree with you guys that a sign is needed here. I mean, you have your person from the neighborhood who spoke to it. And we're not sign designers. I just hope they're bigger. The words are bigger. Yeah, that's tiny. Yeah.
But we did so many variations of this until we got. I think things got.
Okay.
I don't.
Sorry, sound ready.
Got updated.
Possibly what happened is we were going to have about 6 different direction signs. Weddings and
To like
pavilion. And
drag them up or
golf.
drag.
Like I just started, oh my God, that's just going to be an awful lot of words on that. So can we just do events in golf and at least get them? So it might have been when we had the design of 6 different arrows that they had to be a little smaller. And once we went just to 2.
Okay.
So yeah, they're going to need to be of size so people can see them. Right.
I've gotten lost in there before, so I know what you're talking about.
I do see a note in the applicant's packet. It states 10 feet 7 inches wide
Okay.
for everything above grade. So 10 feet 7 inches wide, 6 feet 6 inches high.
Thank you for answering the additional question.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve, based on the factors, I move to approve case number VA-CU-24-10 for the property located at 1940 Little Bear Loop, Lewis Center, Ohio, seeking a conditional use from Orange Township zoning resolution article 22.04 sub A to allow for the construction of a monument sign in an area zone single-family planned residential district.
I'll second.
Okay.
Any discussion on the motion? Okay, roll call.
Yep, roll call. So the motion was made by Mr. Pax and it was seconded by Ms. Ross. Those voting, Mr. Pax,
Yes.
Ms. Knapp,
Yes.
Ms. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Sundar.
Yes.
That's 4 yeses, and the motion carries. Conditional use is approved.
Okay. So then you need a motion on the
I can take.
size.
Based on these factors, I move to approve case number VA-CU 24-10 for property located at 1940 Little Bear Loop, Lewis Center, Ohio, seeking an area variance for a monument sign from the Orange Township zoning resolution section 2204A3D to increase the permitted area per sign face of 16 feet to 30 feet in an area zone single-family planned residential district.
Second.
And I just wanted to clarify that was square feet. I heard you say feet.
I'm sorry,
30 square feet.
square feet. Do you want me to repeat it?
If you wouldn't mind, just so that we're clear.
Okay,
I'm
the whole
sorry.
thing, just that.
If you could go through one more time, the whole thing.
Sorry. Based on these factors, I move to approve case number VACU 24-10 for property located at 1940 Little Bear Loop, Lewis Center, Ohio, seeking an area variance for a monument sign from the Orange Township zoning resolution, section 22.04A3D, to increase the permitted area per sign face of 16 square feet to 30 square feet in an area zone single-family planned residential district.
I second.
Motion to approve made by Ms. Neff, seconded by Ms. Sundar. Those voting, Mr. Pax,
Yes.
Ms. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Neff,
Yes.
Ms. Sundar.
Yes.
All right. The area variance is approved. Well, let's do a temporary pause here. We'll welcome back our chair.
I did. I'm just kidding.
Right. Well, I'm going to take this into the last case for the night. Another new case. This is at the BJ's store site located at 8425 Orange Center Drive. The property is 24 acres and zoning is planned commercial and office district. So this request at BJ's tonight is actually 6 area variances from the Orange Township zoning resolution, section 22.03A, to allow for 3 directional signs to be taller than the allowed 3 feet 0 inches in height, and also to be larger than the allowed 3 square feet in size. For the summary, the applicant is requesting the total of 6 variances from the Orange Township zoning resolution, section 22, for the 3 proposed directional signs to be taller than the allowed 3 feet and to be larger than the allowed 3 square feet. And these signs are proposed to be 6 feet 0 inches high and 15 square feet in size. So variance for both the size and the height is needed for each of these 3 signs. The signs will be located outside of the right-of-way, and 2 will be along US 23, and the third one will be located along Orange Center Drive. The applicants have indicated that there are 4 current signs. We did, I believe, get an updated site plan. I'm not sure if I was able to put in your packet, but there are only 3 directional signs being requested. Also, I want to make note to you all that there are 3 directional signs already in place at the exact same locations. These were approved through the permitting process about 2 weeks ago, and so those are already installed. But I just want to make note since we hadn't stated that in the staff report. So just to clarify, the subject site is located at 8425 Orange Center Drive. It's 24 acres. It's on the east side of US 23 and west of Highfield Drive. 1 height variance for the wall signage on the BJ's building was approved last month, and the other was denied. Access to the parking area is served from Orange Center Drive along the northwest boundary of the parcel. Between the adjacent multifamily zone parcels to the north is presently open area where several multifamily apartment buildings and a clubhouse are planned. Surrounding area, I just mentioned, but to clarify the zoning, that's to the north is multifamily planned residential district. The land use is open space and multifamily residences. To the south, the zoning is planned commercial and office district, and the land use is a shopping center, which is North Point Plaza. To the east, zoning is planned commercial and office, and land use is a commercial building, Chiller LLC. And then to the west is the planned commercial and office district zoning. The land use is US 23 with commercial uses. All right, so variety of land uses here, a fairly large site. This aerial is just a bit outdated, of course, but it you can picture the parking area out between US 23 and the building, and it sort of wraps around on the north side. As mentioned, the drive aisle is the primary entrance point is from Orange Center Drive, just to the northwest. All right, staff review is in section 22.03. We have the vehicular sign text, and so vehicular signs, directional or other incidental signs pertaining to vehicular or pedestrian control on the private property shall be permitted, provided that said signs are located outside of the right-of-way of any public street or road. Yes, these signs are located outside of the right-of-way. 2, do not interfere or obstruct visibility when entering or leaving the said property. The signs are not expected to obstruct the visibility. Number 3, do not exceed 3 square feet of area per side. This is one of the variance items. The signs will be 15 square feet of area per side. Number 4, they do not exceed 3 feet, in height, but these signs, this is the other variance, will be 6 feet in height. The display area, the display only does the following: the name and or the address of the business establishment, the words enter or exit, text or arrows indicating the direction or the purpose of travel, and or logos or trademarks of the business establishment. So other than the height and the area, the signs meet these standards. Number 6, have no more than 2 sides. The signs only have 2 sides. Number 7, are unlit or lighted by only by means of internal illumination. These are not illuminated signs, so it does comply. All right, the area variance for vehicular signs, directional or other incidental signs. That's the section that we just went over, but I do want to bring it to your attention, the percentage, like we like to touch upon. The 3 vehicular signs are proposed to be 15 feet versus, I guess that technically should be 15 square feet. Yep, 15 square feet of area versus the allowable 3 square feet of area. So when we did the math, and here we go with math, we got the large number of 400%. So just wanted to highlight, like we do for other variance requests. 400. And here is the site plan. So yes, this is the site plan that is correct. They're requesting these 3 signs at only 3 locations. There is no 4th.
I'm sorry,
yep.
on the D1, which one are we talking about?
There was a D4 before, but D1, D2, and D3 are correct.
Yeah, so it was proposed to be north of here, and I just cropped it out to try to
Avoid
not
confusion.
confuse anybody.
And I'm not sure if you have a D4 in your packet, but that was what you should disregard.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. And just a few of it's the same sign in 3 different places, other than a few, I believe one of them has 2 of them have slightly different text, depending on which way you're facing. But each one has the logo, as you can see, in those 3 or 6 renderings. Okay, and then the second area variance, this is the does not exceed 3 feet in height. 3 vehicular signs are proposed to be 6 feet tall, 6 feet in height, versus the allowed 3 feet. And so I'm not sure if our math is correct again.
I think it is correct.
You think it is good?
I can go over the calculation if
Yep.
you guys would like me to.
Yeah, that might be good, because I just didn't sit down and double check that one in particular. We state 100% variance requests for the height.
Yeah, so since the allowed height is 3 feet and the proposed is 6 feet,
Yep.
the 6 feet exceeds the allowed 3 feet by 3 feet.
Right.
So 3 feet divided by 3 feet is 100%.
There it is. Yep.
And same calculation for the area, which equates to 400%.
Okay, so 400, we're clear on the area, and then 100% for the height. The last page is just your analysis and your motion examples. So please let me know if you have any questions.
The signs that are up now, can you explain, you said that they came through what?
Yeah, they came through the regular administrative permitting process
Okay.
because these are compliant with height and area and location requirements. So they are 3 square feet and they are located outside of the right of way. And as we've been informed, they should be the exact same locations that these signs are proposed. So these would.
If approved.
You may want to double check with the applicant, but that's the
Yeah, I guess
takeaway I had. Mhm.
Is the applicant here?
I think, yep.
Good evening. Dustin Doherty, 250 West Old Wilson Bridge Road, Worthington, Ohio. And I was sworn in. So thank you for allowing us to be able to present this to you today. The reason why they're proposing these signs, as you may know, is that that deep box tenant is set pretty far back from the roadway. And the major concern is that there's a right-in, right-out on US 23. And so originally, according to the master plan, there was going to be a cross-access to the property to the south, and that there was going to be allowed access to the signalized intersection, which has, at this point in time, constantly been a war with that property owner, and they've barricaded it, and ODOT is not forcing the issue either. So at this point, the only access into the site is through the right-in, right-out, or the signalized intersection that's to the north. And so if an individual wants to utilize this club and go south on 23, they need to go right, which is not intuitive, out of the parking lot, go up to Orange, go to the light, and then go south. Where originally they were going to be able to just go straight south to the light that they could see right by the fuel center. So there is some major confusion that's happening right now with the individuals that are utilizing that club. BJ's has an online membership survey that they take, and they allow their members to be able to comment. And the number one thing for this club right now is accessibility and being able to either find it, get there, or get out. And the big thing that not only is being able to get those signs in place now for people to continue to keep using, but as was mentioned previously, the land uses in the surrounding area. You've got multifamily posts to the north, and there's a 12-foot, 15-foot berm that's going to have vegetation, landscaping, fencing above it as well. That's going to block visibility to that club. And there's either 2 or 3 out parcels that are placed out directly in front of that building at some point in time too. That'll again provide limited visibility to that club. So the idea is to put those signs along that frontage on both of those roads. And ordinarily, the signage would be the 3 square foot that they have right now, which is approximately 1.5 by 2 feet. It's, just over 2 pieces of paper of people trying to see at 45, 50 miles an hour. So those directional signs in that code that was originally written was for the purpose of a 5 mile an hour roadway inside of a parking lot that you'd be able to direct people to, not at 50 miles an hour along, a DOT highway. So we've done the math just based upon transportation. If you're driving at 50 miles an hour looking at a 3-foot square sign, you've got about a second and a half to see it. And at 3 feet tall, you're also limited as well. And so we're respectfully requesting, I understand the gravity of the significance variance of requesting, but it is in lieu of other traffic signs that you would see for the Ohio maintenance of uniform traffic devices, being at that height and at that size to be able to see those from good visibility at that speed. Thank you again for letting us the opportunity to speak to you.
Can we ask you a couple questions? You said that you guys have access or that's blocked from the light. Can you say a little bit more? Is a property blocking that, or?
So the Walmart property to the south has out parcels located along their northern property line. It was built 25 years ago. You'll notice in the aerial view, you can see it from that image right there. The out parcels actually have a split and a divide between them because there was a roadway that was proposed to go right through, right there where your cursor is on the left, right there, right there. And they installed a curb cut. They were always going to be dedicated that the property to the north with an ODOT written agreement was going to have access to that signalized light. The owners of that property are not allowing BJ's or the owners of this property that we're talking about access through their property right now. And ODOT is not enforcing it right now, and there's a very lengthy lawsuit involved in that. So theoretically, the property was supposed to have direct access to that signalized light. That signalized light was planned to be able to assist with that. And it's not happening.
How is that a direct access? You have to go back, over, down, and around.
No, it's super easy. You come across at Walmart and make a left and shoot right into that gas station. Everyone in my neighborhood's been complaining about it. It takes forever to get to that gas station.
Stop by Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
Go straight left. Gas.
But I mean, it's not direct. You have to make at least one turn or two, depending on which direction you're coming.
That gap is further installed. They're doing the block.
Yeah.
But they're not allowing access.
It adds an extra, I would say, 3 to 5 minutes for us to get to that gas station. And we live like right there because everyone's been talking about it. Because you should be able to just jump right in, but you have to go all the way back to the chiller or you have to go down to the next light.
Right. No.
It's crazy. Yeah. But you're right. It's not a straight shoot. Yes. But significantly better. Yeah.
It's like you're driving through an alleyway, back there to the services, dumpsters.
The dumpsters are in the side of the side.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
For a lot of traffic. I mean, wow. Never mind. Realize that was big.
Yeah, that parking lot's a nightmare to navigate.
Go ahead.
That's all I was.
Okay. So your traffic engineers that you had look at these signs say that 6 foot high is going to not block something?
That's correct. I mean, your typical traffic sign or signage is not that high.
Right, but you're increased the size of them as well as the height. And most signs are either squarish or rectangle like this or street sign type of thing. So they don't block much of the optical path.
Your typical street signs can range anywhere between 24 to 48 inches. Your street
About that, for the record. Goodness.
Bless you. This picture sort of indicates that if I was sitting in a car, that sign would be directly in my line of sight of that stop sign.
I believe the gentleman here wrote in his report that visibility was not an issue with the submittal and that the line of sight was not something that was impacted.
We're not traffic engineers.
Yeah.
I wrote that. I was the one that wrote the report, and I
Yeah.
wrote that our understanding is that, if visibility were to be blocked, that you've accounted for that.
Okay, correct.
And
But
this
we're not
is-
traffic engineers and can't make.
Yeah, we'd be happy to provide lines of sight and sight distance if that's something that's needed.
Generally speaking, directional signs are looked at from a size that's compliant with the code requirement. The key here was they are within the property boundaries, not within the right of way. And I think that's generally where we were looking, kind of the perspective we were looking at it from was that it's not being proposed in a right of way. And then hence.
Totally agree on that. It's just,
And that's the other thing is that stop sign is in the right of way and that stop sign is located at the stop bar and that's where you're going to stop your vehicle.
Sure.
The sign that we're proposing is offset, it's in the property. And so therefore the line of sight that you'll have at that stop sign should not impact.
so
You'll
you
actually
should be looking behind
You'll
the
be already
sign?
past the sign when you stop. So your visibility to your left and right along that access will be open and unobstructed.
Okay.
D1, this is sign D1, correct? Yeah. Right? So, I mean, when you're pulling up there, it's a turn right. So, I mean, the traffic I see coming, if that was your concern on that, the oncoming traffic that's heading towards 23, that you wouldn't be able to maybe see them. But the applicant's point, I guess, if it's far enough back and that sight line of that
Yeah.
driver there, the sign is clean and clear, that is important, though, to your point. I mean, so if that's the case, and it is set back deep enough for that, then, and I'm looking at the sign, it's parallel, it's actually, so your direct sign for the drivers coming off of, from the BJ's to that intersection on Orange Center Drive. So the fact that we'll be parallel, at least with the curve of that road, is also helpful to minimize obstruction, visual obstruction of the roadway. So, yeah.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
It looks a little almost worse. The rendering is deceptive a bit, but it's parallel with that road, so I think that's going to, for at least vehicles that are there at the stop sign, it won't be an obstruction. So.
2 and D3 are to direct northbound traffic into your site?
That's correct. Is to let them know that that right in, right out is where they need to enter.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's correct.
So this does nothing for the southbound traffic?
So that's what the original sign that was emitted, D4, that the southbound traffic would have to take a left at the light, and then there was going to be another one that was going to be installed at Orange Center Extension.
Yeah.
And that one was going to have to be put outside of the right of way as well. There's going to probably need to be an easement with it, so that one has been omitted.
Yeah.
So regardless, the individuals coming from the north to the south will have to take a left at that light, and then they'll have to take a right at the next, by the cemetery. But we have omitted that as part of this request. And to also answer your question from earlier, I just remembered the existing signs that are there, we wanted them up regardless right now to be able to give people some chance. Those will be removed and replaced with these if that is something that the board chooses to approve.
Just to confirm, the D2 and D3 right in and right out, you said?
That's correct. They're also, the material that's being proposed is aluminum posts with the aluminum siding, front and back with vinyl letters.
Anybody from the audience want to participate? I vote no.
My name is Marie G. Lovell. I live at 234 Summer Tree Way, and we abut up to the Orange Center Drive, or right at that corner. So first of all, the folks that preceded you, they waived about 10 different ordinances to get that building built. One of them was that curve that that gentleman was speaking about. And by the time that building was being built, everybody knew that Walmart had not agreed to have that cut out through. But they went ahead and did the variances, built the building. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. It's dangerous. It's unbelievable. Even for us, when we turn right onto Orange Center Drive to make a left into our street, traffic is coming so fast going north. It's a miracle there hasn't been an accident. So I don't know how you can fix it, but it's a mess. Thank you.
Are you, do you have an opinion on the signage? Do you think that this would help?
I think it's way too big, 400 times and 100 times what the correct amount should be. I mean, that's crazy. And I know it says mixed use home or whatever that term was. It's a bunch of old people's condos right there. It's not mixed home usage, so.
Well, for us, that's mixed.
Of apartments when I hear mixed,
Yeah.
so, yeah. Okay?
Cool,
I'm
thank
sorry,
you.
I'm not a public speaker, I'm not
It's
a
all right.
professional, but it's a
Thank you.
mess.
As long as you can say your piece, that's all we can.
Thank you.
Actually, we can't. Well, that's one of our little idiosyncrasies, being quasi-judicial. Sorry, can't talk and crap.
So ma'am, the Orange Center Drive is where the traffic is moving too fast?
Way too fast.
Okay.
There's not a mile per hour sign coming out of BJ's coming north. It's like a freeway through there.
Really?
And if you've ever been on that road, it's not straight. It's kind of curvy, and semi trucks go through there as well.
Where?
Down Orange Center Drive.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're going up to the next road to get a stoplight?
They go north. They go.
I don't know what they're doing. Semis and box trucks come down that road, and they can't stay in their lane, so they're taking both lanes. We live right on the corner. My husband's handicapped. He sits there and watches everything.
Thank you.
Oh, that's Orange Center Drive. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
It's just not. I was thinking of the cut over from BJ's to Orange Center Drive. But okay.
That's Orange Center
Yeah.
Drive itself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way I came over here tonight, and it is. It's pretty fast traffic.
Jeez.
You guys have anything you want to discuss as a board? Sure. I meant here. We don't. No, just here. I mean, anything we want to clarify or?
I also wanted to mention, because there are 3 separate signs here, the board doesn't necessarily have to look at all 3 signs and vote all 3 signs all at once, but that is how we broke it down for you. So if somebody, let's just say somebody had a particular preference for 1 or 2 of the signs, that could be done. I didn't want you to be limited by any means through what we gave as an example, but.
Yep. But I also didn't want to overload them with 6.
We can't, precisely, we can't
No,
think of
both
every
are-
scenario. Yep, that's right.
So if we like D2 and D3, we could do that and then leave D1 off, just as an example.
And then I think for housekeeping purposes, you would want to go the extra mile, and you could then move to do a denial for a sign because it is being requested right now. You could do it that route.
Eric, I'm not really familiar with that area, with the specifics along that area of 23. Are there any monument signs out in front of the fuel center or?
Yes, there is a monument sign out front, and it is in the proximity of the fuel center. I don't have any of the specific size information in front of me, but Andrew, I don't know if you happen to know if that was just a conditional use and no area variance.
I'm gonna imagine that it was approved as part of the rezoning, so they probably didn't get a conditional use, and just the monument sign was part of the signage package, in the rezoning.
Do you happen to know what the size of that sign is? Just out of curiosity.
I could find it for you.
If you, we could try to get that here in a moment. But that has been in place for quite some time, since the building went in.
Make a motion that we go into private deliberation.
Yeah, you could make a motion to go to exec private deliberation.
I'd like to move that we go to executive session for private deliberation.
I second.
Okay. Motion made to go into private deliberation executive session by Ms. Ross, seconded by Ms. Sundar. Those voting, Mr. Trevs?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
And Ms. Sundar?
Yes.
And I can provide information on the monument sign when you come back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Eric, you can't go with them.
Oh, I haven't asked. No, I thought that.
I don't think so. I believe our legal counsel has advised us to not.
Certainly did it.
I would say better safe than sorry, probably.
I'll move that we return from executive commission into open
Public.
deliberation, public comment. Yeah.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion to return to open session made by Ms. Ross, seconded by Ms. Sundar. Those voting, Mr. Trevs?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
Ms. Sundar?
Yes.
Yeah, so I pulled up the, sorry, I'm trying to do the stream as well. I pulled up the monument sign. This is along 23, I believe not too far from the gas station. Is that correct, Eric?
It's in very close proximity to the canopy, yep.
All right. I am going to make a motion on 2 of the signs, D2 and D3. Is that okay, Eric?
Are you making a motion for the height?
I'm going to go make motions on both.
Can we-
Separately.
2 separate motions.
Okay, you can
that
say,
okay?
I think we can do it that way. I just was making sure we're covering both of the variances, so. Yep, okay.
Okay. Based on the factors that even though we find that these are substantial variances due to the speed of the road along 23 and the lack of current entrances, I move to approve case number VA 24-11 for the property located at 8425 Orange Center Drive, Lewis Center, Ohio 43035, seeking 2 area variances from the Orange Township zoning resolution section 22.03 to allow for 2 vehicular signs identified in this report as D2 and D3 to be 15 square feet in an area zoned planned commercial and office district.
And 6 foot high.
That'll be a separate motion.
Okay.
I'm going to make a separate motion for that.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion to approve the signs labeled in this report as D2 and D3 to be 15 square feet in size, made by Ms. Neff, seconded by, was that Ms. Ross? Those voting, Mr. Trevs?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
And Ms. Sundar?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries.
All right, I would like to make another motion, again, based on the factors that even though the variance is substantial, I feel that it's justified due to the speed of the road on State Route 23 and the lack of entrances. I move to approve case number VA-24-11 for the property located at 8425 Orange Center Drive, Lewis Center, Ohio 43035, seeking 2 area variances from the Orange Township zoning resolution section 22.03 to allow for 2 vehicular signs identified in this report as D2 and D3 to be 6 feet in height in an area zoned planned commercial and office.
A second.
Okay. Motion to approve signs D2 and D3 to be 6 feet in height, made by Ms. Neff, seconded by Ms. Ross. Those voting, Mr. Trevs?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
And Ms. Sundar?
Yes.
That motion carries as well.
And so then, did you want me to say? I'm sorry.
Go for it.
We are prepared. We can move forward with a motion on D1, but we wanted to, maybe you could help us have a conversation with the applicant about whether they might want to revise or
Have a continuance
or withdraw,
Sure.
continue,
or withdraw.
Sure.
make any adjustment.
You're welcome to bring the applicant back up and have that conversation.
Let me say my name again.
Yes, please.
You're welcome to.
Dustin Doherty,
Reality.
250 West Old Wilson Bridge Road, Worthington, Ohio, and I was sworn in. Thank you again.
I mean, so the conversation we had, we were prepared, I think, all in agreement on the signs along 23. But
D1.
D2 and D.
Yeah.
But D1, there's a little more conversation about its size and its need, given that it's not directly off the highway. So I don't know if you all have anything to add.
We just feel it's more in character with the neighborhood. And we did have some reservations about the visibility being at 3 feet, and the normal size seems to be more in keeping with what our thoughts were.
We really kept, for the benefit of you, like we really put all the points together. We really want you to get benefit and the community to get benefit out of everything. That's why like the D2 and D3, we thought like it's more occupied with the speed and height and everything. But the D1, considering the location of it and the speed, we
Seemed too
give
big.
it, yeah, you can, it's your choice, you can withdraw or you
we can move
do a
forward,
continuation.
or you can make adjustments in the size. You can withdraw it. You can, is it table it, right? No. Sorry, continue.
Continuing.
That part to the next meeting. So we just wanted to make sure we were having that conversation.
Absolutely. What's the most appropriate way if we wanted to be able to make revisions to that may be in agreements, that we could propose something that is a little more favorable to the board, either in height or area or both? What would be the best way?
We have other folks do a continuance, and that gives you some time at least.
To the next month.
Generally, it's to the next meeting. People can go to a little further out if they so desire, but usually people are on prompt schedules, so it would be up to you ultimately. But the next meeting, I can pull that up. I think
If we do make the continuance to the next meeting, is it solely on that sign and that issue only?
Yeah, the other two.
So, okay, so those are no longer in discussions. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Then what I would like to be able to do is make a continuance if we can, to be able to go back to the client, be able to look at the sign developer as well, to see if we can come up with something that's a little bit more pleasing, both height and area wise, and see if that's something that we can present again to you.
Well, I'd suggest also that you kind of look and see, since you have a sign there at this time that is within our code, look and see if it works. If it directs traffic from that road and is not a large obtrusive sign in a neighborhood, which that is now, then maybe you won't need to come back with a sign there.
Yeah,
That
that's a
would be
good
your
point.
choice.
No, I appreciate that feedback, and we'll definitely want to be able to see if there's any more comments that are made from the members, or see if there's anything else that people are making with respect to being able to go south on US 23, because that's the majority is. And I do agree with you that individuals at that stop sign will be slowing down. They'll have a better chance to be able to see that sign and the visibility of that sign. So, thank you for your consideration.
To make some clarification, we are just giving the suggestion for you, but we are not guaranteeing anything like when you revise
It
it.
may be a different mix of people up here. We look at everything individually, so it will be looked at individually.
We appreciate the opportunity. That's it. And we appreciate the discussion and being able to be open and transparent about it. And so nevertheless, I do want to be able to go back and see if they'll be in agreements with what's there, if there's something more that we can do. So if we can just continue it, to at least give me an opportunity to talk to others as well. And if they want to pull it, they can at that time, or we can present.
Eric, do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, you would need a motion to continue, in the next meeting date for everyone's notes is May 16th.
Okay.
And
for Thursday as well.
Okay.
I would add that you're continuing both variance requests for sign D1 because there is technically 2 variance requests.
We definitely respect that, and if we could, please. Thank you.
I move that we have a continuance for sign D1, both in the height and the area, for the next meeting.
For which case, this is a VA 2411?
Yeah. Is it 11? Yeah. 11.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, I got motion made by Mr. Trevs to continue the case to VA 2411 to May 16th for, we're talking about just the one sign D1.
D1, yep.
Okay, and then it was seconded by Ms. Ross. Those voting, I will start with Mr. Pax,
Yes.
Mr. Travis,
Yes.
Ms. Ross.
Yes.
Ms. Neff.
Yes.
And Ms. Sundar.
Yes.
All right. The case, at least for the sign labeled as D1, is continued to May 16th. We're through with, yep, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for your feedback.
Thank you.
Have you called anyone about putting a sign up
A
for that?
speed sign?
Speed signs?
Yeah?
Yes, Lisa, now, I've been in touch with her.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Call the county engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would call because I called them to fix that light.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had called them to fix that light there in front of GFS. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and they were pretty helpful. Because it gets messed up, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Because it might
Thank you for
out-
coming. Thank you for a suggestion.
Okay, well, we're through with our cases, but we do have a brief minute discussion. I think that a couple of you were kind enough to get some changes to us, so thank you. Thank you for all of your reviews, because I think each one of you mentioned that you had gone through February's minutes, and so we were able to incorporate any of the changes that were brought forth. Generally speaking, I think it was all pretty straightforward, mostly just some grammatical things here and there. If everybody is comfortable with the minutes as amended, you can make a motion and we can get those done. And then March will be likely the next meeting.
What was that meeting date?
That was
16th?
the 6th. Yep. February
No.
15th.
50?
15th.
February 15th?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. I move.
How
to-
can it be February 15th? Oh, you mean that's the minutes? Oh, good Lord, never mind. Just shoot me now.
Well,
I move that we approve the Board of Zoning Appeals minutes of February 15th, 2024 as amended.
A second.
okay. So motion to approve the February minutes as they have been amended by Ms. Ross, seconded by Ms. Sundar. Those voting, Mr. Trevs?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yeah.
And Ms. Sundar?
Yes.
All right. That will do it for February, and I think that was the last item. Yep, we'll get to March next time.
Okay.
All right.
No, actually,
Motion to adjourn?
do we need a motion?
I think it's a
We
formality.
actually should.
Yeah.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I'll second it.
All right. Mr. Travis,
Yes.
Mr. Pax,
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yeah.
Ms. Nadar?
Yes.
All right.